welcome to the Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard Tactics video. Now before we get into today's video, I would like to say a huge thank you to Hunter James White for sending in some awesome pictures of his Valhallan Ice Warriors. Just a cheeky battalion of Ice Warriors. They look absolutely fantastic, Hunter. Thanks for sending these in. Looks like these are part of that made to order batch that Games Workshop did, but I have to say I am really loving those models, and I hope that they do a made to order for Mordians, and then I'll be able to pick up lots and lots of Mordians, and maybe I'll finally be able to do my pure infantry, pure metal horde. That would be awesome. But until then, I will enjoy looking at these Valhallans. Thank you for sending them in, Hunter. If anyone else has got any cool pictures that they want me to use in my videos, please post them on my Facebook page. There will be a link down in the description below. Now today's video is going to be about a tactic which I call the Plasma Death Bomb. And essentially, guys, it takes advantage of the new strategic reserve rules and also the new discounted plasma that's available to the Imperial Guard. So if you like the idea of being able to bring in strategically a huge amount of plasma in a small package and just delete something off the board, then this is going to be the video for you. So the first thing that you want to be looking at is the points changes for the Imperial Guard. Yes, our veterans did go up by a point, and so did our guardsmen, but the plasma weapons that we can take came down by a point. So overall, things haven't really changed that much. If you're paying 1 point more for a veteran, but then you give that veteran's plasma gun is costing him 1 point less, overall there's no change. And likewise for the regular guard, if you're taking a plasma gun on a ballistic skill 4+ model, that plasma gun is now 2 points cheaper, but the guy wielding it is only 1 point more expensive than 8th edition. So overall, that's a net gain of 1 point. That's a positive. So with all the 9th edition point changes that are going on, it seems crazy that the Imperial Guard are actually quite lucky and are able to get access to actually something that is cheaper than it was in 8th edition. So that's the first thing you want to think about. Second thing you want to think about is the way that strategic reserve rules now work for 9th edition. So basically you can spend command points to put any units you want in reserve, and depending on how long they stay in reserve depends on where they can then come in on the battlefield. So if you put them in reserve and you bring them on turn 2, then those guys can come in your deployment zone, either on the left, on the right, or on the backfield, but they can come in your deployment zone. However, if you wait until turn 3, those reserves can come in outside of your deployment zone, and that's really powerful because it basically means you get the old outflank rules. But unlike the old outflank rules, and we're looking back to sort of 6th and 7th edition with the old outflank rules, unlike in those rules where it was random where you would turn up, it's not random anymore. So it means that you can outflank reliably with any units that you want. You're no longer limited to being Talan or having to use Scions to deep strike or anything like that. The next thing to understand is how you put these units in strategic reserve. So if you want to put in, it's based on power level. So it's not based on points. Currently it's based on power level. So the more power level you put in reserve, the more CP it will cost you. And if you want to put 1 to 9 power level in reserve, that will cost you 1 command point. 10 to 19, that will cost you 2 command points. Now the thing is with Guard is that we're more than likely going to be having to take a 2nd battalion anyway in a lot of lists, because we just, 6 troop slots isn't really enough. So you don't want to be spending too many command points for the game. If we're already having to spend potentially 3 command points on the battalion, you're really looking for the strategic reserve thing. You're really looking at only wanting to spend 1 additional CP to do it. That's how I see it. So what you're looking at is, how can I outflank 9 power level, and how do I get the most damage output for 9 power level? Because that doesn't seem like very much. It's only 1 CP, but what can you fit in for just 9 power level? I mean, you could put 3 infantry squads in outflank, but that's only going to be like 3 plasma guns, because infantry squads are 3 power level each. What you want to be looking at actually is command squads and special weapons squads, because amazingly each one of those choices is only 2 power level. That's right, guys. 1 command squad with 4 veterans only costs 2 power level. 1 special weapons squad with 6 guardsmen only costs 2 power level. Now that's really significant, because when you think about it, that means you can put 3 command squads in outflank for 1 CP, or three special weapon squads in outflank for just 1 CP, and you've got 3 CP left over. That starts getting very interesting. You then want to be like, well, it's all well and good outflanking these units, but you know they're going to need orders. Well, guess what? Company commander is only 2 power level, and you can outflank 3 squads, and you can take a company commander with him. He can order 2 squads, and then you can spend a CP for a stratagem inspired command, which allows him to do another order, an additional order for just 1 command point, which means you can order all 3 squads, or you could, you know, make him your warlord and give him the warlord trait that gives him an extra order. But I wouldn't really want to put my warlord on the outflank doing this, because you know, it's going to be a bit risky. This guy is probably going to die, because it is essentially a suicide unit. You know, it's a plasma bomb. It drops in, it kills things, and then it dies. But it does it very cheaply. Does it cheaper and with more firepower than trying to do the same thing with scions. That's what's so important about this. Yes, you could do this tactic with scions, but this is cheaper and more powerful. So let's take a look at those 2 units before we go any further. You can take 4 plasma guns in a single command squad, 1 for each guy. Now, that's, like I said, only 6, so it's actually the same points cost as it would have been in 8th edition. So it costs you 64 points for a single command squad with 4 plasma guns. So if you take 3 of them, and then you add in your company commander, what you're looking at there is a very cheap combination. And in fact, the exact points is 227 points. That's not bad. Now the equivalent points in scions, you know, with the way the points increases have gone. You know, the scions are 65 points a squad now. You know, you could get probably 3 squads of scions and a Tempesta Prime. You could do that, but that's only 6 plasma guns. You know, that's 6 plasma guns for slightly more points. What we're looking at is 12 plasma guns. So double the plasma for less points outflanking. That's good. That's real good. What you've got to then take into account, and you could do, so that costs you 227 points. Now, like I said, there was a budget option. If you want to do this with special weapon squads, they're only 45 points per squad, which is almost 20 points cheaper. Almost 20 points cheaper per squad. So you save yourself 60 points. So on top of, so if you went for the budget option, you're looking at less than 200 points. You're looking at like 160 points. I think it might be 160 points exactly. So it's really cheap. 160, 170 points to just outflank 9 plasma guns. Now, I personally prefer the idea of doing this with command squads, because the veterans are going to be hitting on 3s and they're bringing more firepower. But if you really just wanted to do it on a shoestring budget, maybe you're playing a lower points game, this is the way I would do it. So let's just take a look at the command squads for a second. You can outflank them. You wait until turn 3, they're going to come in your opponent's board edge. What's interesting is what you might be thinking is, yeah, but they've only got a 12-inch rapid fire. They've only got a 12-inch rapid fire. Like, they're not, unlike scions who can deep strike in anywhere and make sure they're in rapid fire range. These guys may not be in rapid fire range. That's true. But if you combine this with the Disciplined Shooters custom trait or Armageddon Steel Legion, you've got an 18-inch range rapid fire. And on the new, smaller 9th edition board sizes, that means you're pretty much going to be getting into rapid fire range of anything you want to destroy. You know, you come in left, you come in right. 18-inch range rapid fire is really long distance. You know, it's good. You can combine that with Wilderness Survivors, give yourself that sweet 4+ save, and you've kind of then suddenly got Scions deep striking in. But like I said, it's more plasma, just as durable now, and less points. That's pretty good. That's pretty damn good. Now there is one last cherry on top that I want to, just put on top of the cake for this tactic, which is if you add up the power level that you've taken so far for this outflanking tactic, you've got, you know, 6 for your command squads, +2 for your company commander, so that's 8 power level. That actually technically means you've got 1 power left over. You can do what you want with. Now you could just throw that away, or you could make this tactic really potent and take an Astropath, because the crazy thing is, guys, Astropaths are only 1 power level. And you're not taking the Astropath. Yeah, they have gone up in points. They are 25 points now. Yay, the telepathic stave is included, but it's not really a choice. Anyway, this isn't an Astropath bashing video. The reason you're taking the Astropath is quite simply for his ability, Astral Divination. At the start of your shooting phase, pick an enemy unit within 18 inches of this model. Oh, that happens to be the same range as our rapid fire plasma. Interesting. For the duration of the phase, the unit you picked gains no bonus to their saving throw for being in cover when it is targeted by attacks made by friendly Astra Militarum units within 6 inches of this model. That's right, guys. For the low cost of 25 points, all those plasma, those 12 plasma guns, those 24 plasma shots, which are all going to be hitting on 3s, all really rolling 1s thanks to the order take aim, and now ignoring cover as well. You're going to overcharge all of them, and you're going to absolutely you're just going to delete something. It's a very powerful tactic. Now obviously if your opponent is using a lot of invulnerable saves, it's going to limit it. But what's interesting, guys, is Primaris Marines, they're obviously Space Marines and Primaris, they are the top tier army at the moment. The interesting thing is outside of those new shield models that they've got, which is not very many of them, admittedly, Primaris Marines don't have a huge amount of invulnerable saves. I mean, they can get some on their transports, but this isn't really designed for killing the transports. I mean, it's more designed for, you know, wiping out multiple squads of Primaris infantry. Those new bikers, for example, loads of different things that the enemy's got, which is tough and has lots of wounds, but doesn't have an invulnerable save. So it does, you know, it is a powerful tactic, and it does take advantage of kind of a weakness that the Primaris have, which is they don't really spam invulnerable saves as much as other armies out there. And the good thing about tactics, it means your plasma doesn't have to walk up the field and get itself shot to death before it even gets into range of the Marines. You get in range of the Marines when you want to, and it's not a huge amount of points, because one of the traps I've seen with strategic reserves in the past is people put too much into reserve. This is only 250 points tops. You could do it on a budget. You could do it for less than 200 points if you wanted to, including the Astropath. And so it's not a huge amount of points, so you're not losing a lot of your starting battlefield presence by putting like a 400, 500 point unit in reserve. And it allows you to get your plasma in range and rapid firing into the enemy, no problems. It's cheap, it's a lot of damage. I mean, however way you spin it, guys, 24 overcharged plasma shots, which are ignoring cover and re-rolling 1s, is going to do a lot of damage. And the fact we can do that for such a budget price and for 1 CP, that's the best thing about this. It only costs you 1 command point to do it. It's almost a no-brainer. So, and you could even start going mad, and you could push this really far, and you could be like, well, I'm also going to take another squad and outflank there, maybe just a special weapons squad, and add in a platoon commander with the relic, the dagger of Chusaka, which allows the bearer and 1 more unit to outflank. So suddenly you've got more plasma that's outflanking, and that's not cost you any CP, and it's still cheap. You know, it's still only 70 points to throw that extra amount of plasma in there. The great thing about this tactic is it is as cheap or as expensive as you want it to be, but it's never going to break the bank. You want to do this for less than 200 points, you just throw in 3 special weapon squads and a company commander. Great, you're golden. You want to add a little bit of ignore cover to that, you can do it. It's only 25 points more. You want that plasma to start hitting on 3s and take a little bit more of it, you can take a couple of command squads instead. You want to go all in, you can get 3 command squads, a special weapons squad, a platoon commander, a company commander, and an Astropath, and you can outflank all of it, and it's still less than, like, well, I think it's like 320 points 325, 330 points, it's still less than 350 points. If you go all in, the start tick is less than 350 points. If you go budget option, it's less than 200 points. You know, it really is as flexible as you want it to be. So, hope you guys have liked this video. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. And of course, I will see you guys next time.